base.
Let's go.
Rolling sound, rolling camera.
Scene 1, take 2, B mark, soft sticks. A mark, soft sticks.
My name is Michelle Corton. I'm a motorcyclist and a brain aneurysm survivor. Before I had my aneurysm, motorcycling to me was my only means of transportation. Getting a motorcycle, like inserting that into my daily lifestyle was very exhilarating. It was exhilarating to be on my own, be independent, do everything on my own terms, and just escape the city. Out of the motorcycles that I've owned, by far my favorite is my 2019 BMW R9T because that was my recovery machine. My health was completely depleted. I was working 80 to 90 hours a week managing a restaurant. And within the course of 2 weeks, I lost 7 employees. So I was not taking good care of myself. I was not getting enough rest, dehydrated, malnourished, not exercising. I woke up every morning as if I got hit by a bus. But that's what led to my aneurysm. It's just the depletion of my health, not taking good care of myself. So the day I had my aneurysm, my blood pressure was elevated. It was very hot out. It was July 27th of 2019. And that morning, I felt very fatigued because I was working so much. And it was at my niece's graduation celebration. And sure enough, as I was on my way to the restroom, I was collapsed over the sink. I was discovered unconscious. From the moment of the rupture to seeking medical attention is very crucial because think of it as every minute matters to the point where it will cause severe defects neurologically, especially if you're bleeding in your brain. So thankfully, my family was at the right place at the right time. They expedited me to the hospital, which is about a mile away from the location it occurred, and they expedited my care. I had a great doctor. His name is Dr. Sean Pakbaz.
I'm Dr. Sean Pakbaz. I'm a neurointerventional radiologist. I work at Scripps Hospital when Michelle came in. Michelle had a ruptured brain aneurysm, and brain aneurysm is basically a weakness in a wall of a blood vessel that caused it to balloon out. Sometimes it causes a rupture of that area and it bleeds into the brain and the surrounding tissue. And that causes what we call a subarachnoid hemorrhage. And subarachnoid hemorrhage is very dangerous. About half the patients don't even make it to the hospital. And out of the other half that come to the hospital, only about 30% can go back to their normal activities. Even the ones that get to the hospital and we manage to treat them, a good percentage of them are not alive within 30 days. There's a big chance that aneurysms could bleed within the first 24 to 48 hours, and we try to treat it almost immediately so that doesn't happen.
During my operation, it was mandatory for them to put me into a medically induced coma for a few weeks to make sure that I'm stabilized and don't have any further complications.
So Michelle went to Chula Vista Hospital, Scripps Chula Vista Hospital at first, and once they diagnosed it with the CT scan, they transferred her to the Comprehensive Stroke Center in La Jolla. We were really worried about Michelle because number one, she was young. Number two, she had a large bleed. And then she also had hydrocephalus, which means that there was pressure on her brain, where we had to divert the cerebrospinal fluid. We usually evaluate the hemorrhages based on how much blood there is, where the blood is. She had one of the highest grades. She had grade 4 bleed, Fisher scale. And then she was stuporous, almost comatose. So there are 5 grades. If you're comatose, you're grade 5, and stuporous grade 4. So those are also related to bad outcomes. In addition to that, she went into vasospasm, and vasospasm also related to bad outcome. She basically had everything that could happen happen to her, Murphy's Law.
He installed a platinum wire coil through a catheter that went through my main artery in my groin area, and just routed it through my body to my brain with a camera, and installed the platinum wire coil in the ruptured site as well as a stent.
Michelle had an especially difficult aneurysm. It was a small aneurysm that had ruptured, but it also had a wide neck. So in her case, we had to put in a balloon that sits in the parent vessel, put in a catheter inside the aneurysm, and that balloon holds the coils in place while we pack it, so it then can stay in the aneurysm. These coils are attached to tiny little wires, and we attach them to electricity battery, basically. We fill probably around 50% of the aneurysm, not more than that. But the body, the blood, as it stays in there, clots up very rapidly. She received not only intravenous medication to keep her blood vessels open, not only pump up her blood pressure so we can get blood flow to her brain, but also we had to take her in intermittently to the angiography suite, put the catheter inside her artery, and then inject material that actually relaxed the blood vessels. Unfortunately, a lot of these materials don't last very long, so we had to bring her down daily and repeat this procedure.
So I don't have any recollection of those 2 weeks. However, I regained consciousness on the 3rd week and had to rehabilitate myself. Due to the atrophy, I lost 20 pounds. I lost fat and muscle, so I was unable to walk. I was unable to write. I didn't have the motor functions to operate normally, so it took me some time within that final week to rehabilitate myself to function again. It was very hard for me because everything's happening all at once. The brain fog was so thick. I wasn't able to remember certain things. I had multiple therapists come in within that final week to help guide me step by step. I didn't look at the clock, but they had each therapist come in one after the other. A speech therapist. Initially, I was being pushed around in a wheelchair, and then I graduated into getting up to using the bathroom and then going to the hallways to start walking increments longer and longer distances. There were people within the motorcycle community that reached out to me, and it made me realize how much they genuinely cared about me, about how I was doing, and I wanted to reconnect with the community and share my story with everyone and let everyone know that I'm here, I'm still alive, I'm still writing, I'm still doing everything that I really love.
Michelle's recovery was phenomenal. She, despite all the things that were against her after she woke up, she recovered very fast. Within a month, she was nearly back to normal. And as a matter of fact, she did so well that we didn't need to send her to rehab. She was too good for that.
The number one thing that really encouraged me to get out of my hospital bed is to ride my motorcycle again.
During her recovery, I realized that she rides motorcycles, and I realized that she goes to the track, and this is something that I do as well. There's another physician at my work, Dr. McManus, who took care of her as well. He's a neurologist, and three of us have a love for riding motorcycles, and I believe that patients that have some interest in life, and for example, in her case, riding, and they can concentrate their emotions and their energy towards something, they recover better. And the emotional factor doesn't affect them as much. Of course, if you haven't had any damage to the brain, that also helps. The depression doesn't take over. It's a life-changing experience, and people generally have a lot of emotional effect afterwards.
Both my neurologists were informing me on a daily basis that my recovery is going to be great. I'll be back on my motorcycle in no time, and I'll be out riding again. I didn't meet Dr. Pakbaz until a couple months after I got out of the hospital. He was the last person to give me the final green light on resuming, going back to work and riding my motorcycles. But it was very fulfilling to meet the person that saved my life. There were a few people that told me that I probably should take a step away from it as I'm recovering, and it didn't stop me. It didn't stop me from that desire, that passion, that will to be back on the track, be back off-roading, being in the dirt, having that independence back. It didn't stop me from ultimately fulfilling my life back on two wheels on a motorcycle. At that point, I just wanted to ride everywhere. Riding through dirt is very reminiscent of my recovery because you're riding through uncontrollable terrain. I felt that dirt riding really allowed me to hone in my skills and reassert myself and adapt to anything challenging.
It's going to be on the outside of the turn. More time on the bike. That's all you need, more time on the bike.
So over time, I had a few long-term effects. I had to monitor my temperature, my blood pressure especially, as well as my battery life. It no longer goes up to 100%. Put your health first, honestly. It almost took my life. I had the opportunity, a second chance to live. Not everyone has that. You don't want to wait until the last moment, until it's too late. I think it's important to get checked, to be on top of your health, and also do what you love. Don't wait any longer. Don't wait till next year. Don't wait until next time, because time is very precious and you don't want to waste a single moment imagining what life could have been if you had done it sooner. If I were to talk to myself before my aneurysm, I would tell myself to just stop working so hard and just get out and ride and live.